First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that defending another woman against me is disrespectful? Obligatory, this happened last month, but I'm still pretty irritated about it. Not sure if that's the best word for what I actually feel, but oh well. Betrayed, I guess. So, I got into some pretty childish social media drama last month. It was nothing that I personally started. I had commented on a friend's post who had just had a breakup and was just offering support. Well, some woman that I don't know and have never heard of messaged me in response to my comment saying, "Don't give out relationship advice when your own relationship is trash," or something to that effect. Like I said, I had no idea who this woman was. So, all I responded with was, "Who are you and what are you even talking about? My relationship is great, and I wasn't forcing advice onto anyone." She never responded. So I show my husband the message, and immediately gets weird. Apparently, he knows this woman from years ago, and she is a really nice person. So someone must have hacked her account because she would never be mean or rude. The thing is, he only hung out with her twice, nearly 12 years ago, and spoke to her once online since that point, so he truly does not know this woman at all. So I simply asked him why he was trying to defend the woman who had reached out to me being nasty, instead of defending and taking my back. His response was, "I just don't think that it's her. I really don't." He then messaged her himself and asked her if it was her, and she said, "You know me just about well enough to know that I wouldn't say that. My son was using my phone. It was probably him. Her son is 9. I creeped. So I called BS. Anyways, he continued defending her. So I told him that it was extremely disrespectful to me that he is defending this woman and turning his back on me when I had done no wrong. He says I'm an a-hole for not dropping it, and that she said it wasn't her, so it wasn't. He also said, just because I married you doesn't mean that I can't defend another woman. I don't always have to agree with you, which was not the point I was trying to get at, obviously. Am I the a-hole? To include, it reeks off affair, I know. But the woman lives 6 states over, so that's impossible. Now for the top comments. Kinda sounds like your husband's affair partner just made herself known and is scrambling to cover it up. 99 out of 100 internet strangers think his story is BS, and he has banged her at some point. He is being very shady. He owes you a better explanation. Red flags are dancing the hulu in front of you naked. Keep pressing. He doesn't seem to be a very good liar, so the truth will probably come out soon. He's spoken to her 3 times in his life, 12 years ago, but he knows her better than that? You're not getting the full story. This, OP, it doesn't have to be a constant physical meeting to be an affair. People have emotional affairs all the time. Or maybe it isn't an affair, and maybe your husband just doesn't know how to react to an old flame for some reason, but this woman is no stranger. "You know me well enough to know" is not a statement you make to someone you've spoken to 3 times 12 years ago. Edited to add, looking through your comments, it seems most likely this was an old fling from before she moved away. Maybe he hasn't kept in contact with her since then, but crazy people stay crazy, even when you leave them alone. Not the a-hole. His behavior is extremely odd and seems a little suspicious. I also call BS on a 9-year-old writing a message like that. I'm sorry to say, but it feels like there's something else going on here. I actually thought so too, so I pulled our phone records and there was nothing out of the ordinary. And then I found out that the woman actually doesn't even live in our state anymore, so there's no way he would have been able to cheat. Update. His work tablet just pinged, and her chat had just popped up. Apparently, she saw this post. He has responded to her and they are still talking. I will update with the conversation in a second. So far, he has my back. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for arguing with my husband after he decided to sell the house without telling me? I, female 31, lost my late husband in 2016. He got sick with cancer during the first year of our marriage. It was absolutely terrible and devastating. I don't want to go into much details because it really hurts to remember those difficult times. My late husband suffered a lot, and he didn't ask for much. He just wanted to be able to sleep, but he couldn't. I remember when he used to tell me this, and it broke me. I did all I could to ease his pain, but I don't think it was enough at all. He was taken from me eventually despite everything. I have a good relationship with my former in-laws, and I'm grateful for the support they showed me. I wouldn't have been able to carry on without them. I've been married to my husband for 4 months now. He's a good man. We have our fair share of arguments just like any other couple. He's divorced, so this isn't his first serious relationship. Once he moved in with me, he said he wanted to replace all the furniture, even though it was in good condition. He insisted, and even though I didn't agree, I did it eventually because he'd get into an argument with me and turn his phone off for a few days. Next, he suggested that I donate some of my late husband's belongings, saying that I kept too many. This was hard for me to do, but I was able to sort through his belongings and kept a few things. Last month, we were talking, and he expressed being uncomfortable living at my house. He told me that every time he'd come home, feels like coming to someone else's home instead of his. He said that he can't enjoy sitting in the backyard without picturing my late husband there. He said he felt awful about it, but couldn't help it. He refused to go to therapy, thinking this was just ridiculous. At this point, it was clear he was making excuses to get me to move out of the house, since he suggested this before we got married. He knew how I felt about selling the house, but still brought it up. He then told me about a job opportunity that he didn't want to miss, and asked if I was willing to support him by agreeing to sell the house and move out of town. This was sudden, so I asked for some time to think about it, but I was surprised to find the house was already put on the market for sale. Even pictures were taken. I was furious. I had a huge argument with him. He said he thought I agreed, but he knew I wanted time to think but just decided to do what he wanted. He lashed out at me when I asked if this job opportunity really exists, and he said I was being selfish and inconsiderate, then left and turned his phone off. I have no idea how to deal with this issue, especially since he says that I'm not being supportive and constantly making him feel pressured. Now for the top comments. Let him go take the job. You keep the house. This is not about his discomfort living in a dead man's house. It's about control. You can tell because he turns his phone off to punish you for having opinions. He is manipulative and mean and does not respect you. You deserve so much better. Not the a-hole, obviously. Edit. Hijacking my own comment to echo all the Redditors talking about financial mistreatment and fraud. Once the house is sold, he will either A. use the money to put his name on the deed of a new house that he will own after you split, or B. run off with the proceeds from the sale. Please don't wait around to find out which. Also, check your credit, because if he will illegally put your house on the market, he certainly will take out credit cards in your name. I'm sorry, OP. This really is awful. Change the locks and get a divorce. That's how you deal with an abusive a-hole. Not the a-hole. Red flags. He is being toxic and controlling. If he doesn't agree to therapy, get separated. I'm never this commenter, but this may need a divorce. A marriage betrayal of this magnitude should not be an issue, but especially not 4 months in. Info. How is your current husband a good man if he got rid all of the old furniture, then your late husband's belongings, and then the house, without telling you? And ghosts her for days when he doesn't like what she has to say. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my husband out of our kids' room? My female 13-year-old son's birthday was last month. I got him an Xbox that he's been wanting for a very long time. He was able to get it after I saved up for it myself since my husband used to call this stuff useless and we shouldn't spend money on it. My husband liked playing with the Xbox very much. First, he'd play with our son, but now he has completely taken over and won't even let our son play with it even for a few hours. Not even on the weekends. He's playing most of the time, from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m., then sleeps till 12 p.m. Spends a few hours visiting gaming stores to buy new games or borrow games from his friends or nephews. Then sits in the living room and starts yelling, cursing, and pretends like he's talking to the other players while he's actually talking to the screen. He wouldn't sit at a table to eat, and instead eats in front of the screen. He won't sit with the kids and tells them he's busy whenever they ask him to help with homework. I just sit on the couch feeling like I'm not even there, while he yells and curses in front of the kids. When I told him this has been affecting his work because he'd go to sleep at 6 a.m. and wake up at 12 p.m., he asked me what I wanted him to do, go to sleep at 6 and go to work at 8? He'd call work to tell them he won't come or get someone else to cover for him. Even offer them dinner or money but never really keep his promise. I was too embarrassed to talk to anyone about this. He is clearly being obsessed. I had an argument with him when he made me lie to his mom. Then she found out he was at home when I told her he wasn't. He moved into the kids' room so he could focus on playing. The yelling and cursing continued. The kids wouldn't even be able to sleep because of him being there late at night. Last night, my daughter came to me wanting to sleep with me, saying she couldn't sleep because her dad was in their room and yelling all night. I was so mad at him, especially after I told him to stop because the kids couldn't sleep because of the noise. He kept saying, "Give me a few minutes," till it was 1:30. I had enough at this point, and I unplugged the Xbox and told him he was no longer allowed to do this in the kids' room when the kids need to sleep so they could concentrate on school. He blew up on me for ruining his game and following him from room to another and making him miserable. He argued that I have no right to kick him out of his kid's room and called me controlling for how I handled the situation when I've already told him, but he didn't listen. Now for the top comments. First, he'd play with our son, but now has completely taken over and won't even let our son play with it even for a few hours. This alone makes him the a-hole, not the a-hole. Exactly. He's a major a-hole hugging a gift given to your son. You need to create boundaries for him. If he loses his job over this, it will be like having another kid for you. Your husband needs to grow up. Let your children sleep and stop playing the gaming system that your son should be playing. For this to stop, you need to ration his time on it. Not the a-hole. Sounds like your husband has an issue. Addiction comes in all forms. Honestly, he's being unreasonable and is clearly being obsessed. At first, I thought this was normal, but it got worse, especially when it started affecting the kids as well. Not the a-hole. I would sell the console. Sadly, your son isn't getting to enjoy it. Yes, my son isn't happy about having an Xbox anymore because of his dad's behavior. I'm seriously thinking of selling it. Now for the last story. My 30 female boyfriend, 28 male, needs space from me as I didn't support him today. We have a baby who is 1 male. He had his injections yesterday, which made him feel pretty rubbish. And by rubbish, I mean that he woke up literally every hour. I did the whole night and was absolutely exhausted this morning. We had previously agreed that my boyfriend would take son to nursery, as the nursery is at his work. If I take him, which I do 99% of the time, I have to go and come back to start work at 8:30. Last night, he didn't get up for our son and even said he hoped that he still had a fever from injections, so he wouldn't have to take him in the morning. I said that makes him a crappy father to say something/wish something on him for that. Morning comes, and lo and behold, he isn't taking him because it's just too hard. I got mad and said it's pathetic his acting like this. Obviously, I do everything and get son ready, take him to the nursery. Boyfriend walks by himself to literally the same place. I have to pick him up, son, after work as well. Boyfriend is already home. When he got to work, he messaged me saying he didn't want anything to do with me for the rest of the week as I didn't support him. He said he's not doing couples therapy on Thursday and I can do it by myself. Also, that I should be sympathetic to him and care that he struggles with stuff I do all the time. Honestly, I just don't know what to do anymore. I have spent this whole relationship supporting him, and I feel like it's all used up. I know it gets snappy, but I'm pretty fed up. He is staying on the sofa tonight and playing video games. Surprise, surprise, childcare is down to me. Now for the top comments. Sounds like you're already a single mother, so you might just want to pull the hammer down. Likely, he doesn't want to go to couples therapy because he knows what he's doing is repulsive and doesn't want to be forced to verbalize how awful he treats you and his own child for his own personal gain. I came here to say this. OP, you have nothing to work with here. What kind of loser refuses to take the baby to a place they're already going? WTF? Right? The whole thing is appalling. But that is literally the weirdest and dumbest part of this craziness. F this guy. He's not a partner or a parent. Tell him to leave and contact your attorney to work out how to see his kid. Her biggest mistake was effing him. Dude is a deadbeat. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.